Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Niladri Mukherjee. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I'm based in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. So how serious is the situation when you receive a PFL? Let's try to understand this, because this is probably one question that I get the most in a consultation, that is it super serious? Is there any way that my life will be saved? Is there any way that immigration would understand my part of the story, or what can we do to make them understand my part of the story? So let's try to break it down for you. Now, procedural fairness letter as a concept is being sent, as we have discussed in many of the other videos, is sent as a principle of natural justice. Nobody can make a decision against you without letting you telling your part of the story. It's the principle of natural justice. So hence, technically speaking, yes, it is serious, but yes, you would have also a chance and opportunity to tell your part of the story. Practically speaking, after handling I don't know how many applications on PFL, I could tell you this. When it comes to the PFL of an application where the other applicant, a spouse, is already inside Canada, if it's a spousal application, for example, and you receive a PFL of the spousal application where the spouse is already inside Canada as a Canadian permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, and any kind of mistake is being made on that application, there is a very high probability that those kind of applications are saved, provided obviously a solid answer, a solid response, legal response is being submitted. So if it's a spousal application and they tell you that, well, I'm not satisfied that it's a marriage of that it's a genuine marriage, and I do believe it's a marriage of convenience. So what if they tell you that, well, it did not answer all the questions on the IMM 5669 correctly, you did not answer everything in the Schedule A form correctly, you may not have disclosed all the visa refusals correctly, you may not have disclosed the immigration history correctly, there is a high probability that if you're able to respond to those concerns satisfactorily, the decision would probably be positive. So this is what my experience tells me. When it comes to a foreign national applying for example, a study visa or a visitor visa, and the person makes a mistake of not disclosing all the previous visa refusal, be it for Canada or be it for US or any other country, then at that times, if the person does not have any ties to Canada, that time it becomes a little bit more difficult to handle those kind of circumstances, because it's not easy to prove to immigration that, well, I just simply forgotten to mention a previous visa refusal, and if they want to hear this much, they would not give you 7 days, 15 days, or 30 days of time. You want to tell your part of the story in a manner that is convincing, that makes sense, and that falls in the periphery of the Immigration Refugee Protection Act of Canada and its associated regulations. So to answer the broader question, how serious is the PFL? It indeed is serious. I'm not asking any of you to take this lightly, but the seriousness of the PFL is also dependent on your linkages to Canada. What kind of PFL applications is it? Or do you have a Canadian linkage? For example, if you have a Canadian spouse, if your spouse is a Canadian PR, then those applications are handled a little bit differently, and the success rate on those kind of applications are very high as compared to those applications where a foreign national simply makes a mistake of not disclosing a previous visa refusal. This is generally, a general representation. Obviously, the specifics are being discussed over a consultation, because I need to understand a lot more details about the case. I need to go through the documents. I need to understand the nitty-gritties before coming out with a conclusion. But this is what the general situation in PFL is talking about, and I could confirm you this after maybe handling hundreds of PFL cases. If you need our assistance with response to the procedural fairness letter, or need to understand how you can respond by yourself, it may be a good idea to come for a consultation. Go through the website nuvonation.ca, book a relevant consultation, and I'll be more than happy to have a case-specific discussion with you, review your documents to come to a conclusion that makes sense. Hope this helps. See you guys in the next one. Bye now. Cheers.